My company recently wanted all employees to sign up for the 401k. I don't think I can run that far. I mean, hell, most days I don't even want to drive that far. Hey kids, Adam here. Sorry I didn't have a video for the last couple weeks. I was kind of under the weather. I had my kind of seasonal sinus infection, chest cold thing going on. Wasn't COVID. That's the only good thing about that. But I'm back in the saddle, ready to do another video. Let's talk about the human ear and how we hear and perceive things in a song. So you have your typical song. It's, guitars, keyboards, bass, drums, vocals, or maybe some like percussion. There may be some like synth or sound effect things going on. There's a lot of things to try to focus on in a song. Now, as songwriters, we try to arrange our songs and write them so that the most important thing sticks out. So let's say you have a big chorus part, you're coming down into a verse. You may take out some heavier guitars and keyboards and maybe make it like only bass and drums and vocals, or even break it down even further, make it like a electronic drum beat and vocals only. And then you come into the chorus and everything's big and you're focusing on the vocals. But how do you get your ear to focus on the important things? I'm going to go into Reaper and show you a couple tricks that I do to kind of make these things come on. Most of it is automation with volume bumps, but let's take a look. So here's the song Under the Moonlight by my band Underground Hive. I'll put a card for it up here. You guys have heard this song a number of times on the channel. What happens after the second chorus and before the final chorus in the end is a keyboard solo. Let me just play it with out the volume automation here. You can hear what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds good. You definitely know there's a keyboard solo going on, but you really don't with everything kind of fading out from the chorus and going into the keyboard solo, because the keyboard solo starts a couple notes before. Your ear doesn't really tune into the fact there's a keyboard solo until you're a measure or so in. So what I did here is I created a couple of volume bumps using automation. So here, the first bump that comes in right when the keyboard notes start, which is the last like 2 beats of the chorus, I bump up the volume of the solo by 5 dB. Then when it comes into the next phrase, I slowly lower it down using like a gradual decline back into the level that it's at. So by the time we're at like the 3rd beat of the first measure, now we're back at the normal volume that I want the keyboard solo to be at. So let's take a listen to this in the same context. So those notes, I mean, it's kind of a subtle difference, but they do stick out more. And all of a sudden your ear is like, oh, there's a keyboard solo. I need to listen to this. Let's look at another spot in this song. Coming out of the keyboard solo, the bass does kind of this riff filly thing. And what I want to do is I want to accentuate that. I want to make sure that that sticks out. Now I have some automation here to take the bass volume down a little bit while the keyboard solo takes over. But then towards the end of this, there's this bass line that comes in. You can see I did a gradual, I'm at -2 dB here, and I go all the way up to +2. It's not a big bump. It's, it's a 4 dB range, so you definitely hear it, but this just helped make it stick out a little bit better. Listen to this. And then I do it again in the middle of the chorus, in between the 2 phrases. You can see this. I actually just drew this in with my control surface, but you can do it, and I'll show you a little bit later how we do one of these. But what I want is I want this bass fill, because everything's going on. There's a big drum fill going on. There's some, more driven guitars and a lot of vocals. I wanted this bass fill to stick out. So I did the same thing. And that volume bump just brings that up, and it makes your ear focus on it. Let's take a look at another song. I did this similar thing, and we'll maybe get a little bit better idea of what's going on here. So this is the song Strange. I'll put a card up here for this song. You guys have heard this a couple times. Look forward to something happening with this maybe in a month or so as we hit our 1-year anniversary. What I wanted to do here, we're in this like breakdown where all it is a guitar and some claps going on. And we're coming back into the refrain where there's going to be a guitar solo, and then we're fading it out. I wanted the bass to come in and establish itself and have everyone kind of focus on this, because the bass is really the lead kind of piece here. So take a listen to this. And you can see what I did here. I kind of just followed along. I held down control and I just drew it in, taking this big bump in. And now when you listen to it, you'll focus on the bass. Play it again. So even though the bass is like 4.5 dB lower, your ear just naturally focuses on it. Now, granted, I could take the volume automation out, and because it's the only thing really playing that way at that time, your ear may focus on it, but this just accentuates it, and it doesn't stick out in like an odd way at all. Let's take one more look at something. All right, this is the song Rumors, and again, I'll put a card up here for it if you want to listen to the whole song. In this second verse, it's a kind of a bluesy rock, and the right side guitar is doing almost like a call and answer between both the vocals and the keyboards. And what I did here is I just did more volume bumps. So here I'm doing a 3 dB volume bump, and here I wanted this one to stick out. I'm doing a 4.5, and then I grow the tail end of this all the way up to like a 6 dB bump before it comes back down. Take a listen.
On a carousel of memories, and you're coming down, returning to the now, stuck in your mind. 'Cause sooner or later you're gonna die. Sooner or later you're gonna die, 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 die. So pay attention to the space, time,
So in this one, granted, the first little riff there was really kind of low in volume. It was more of an artistic thing. I thought it needed to be brought out, but the end is really kind of what I wanted to focus on. I wanted to get this guitar is kind of following the bass here, and then I wanted to really just bring it up as it's doing this fill that goes into the chorus, and it kind of just opens it up and makes you focus on the guitar for that little phrase. Let's look at another song, and I'll show you how to create one of these and how you can really bring it into your own music. In our final example here, this is the song Breakaway, and actually what I'll do is I'll put a card to the playlist for the series that I did on replacing all of my standard plugins, mostly Waves, with all stock Reaper plugins. I did it in a 6-part series. I went back and forth, did a lot of comparisons between plugins, showed you some tricks on how to use Reaper stuff that you may not know about, and I had fun doing that series, just finished it up a couple weeks ago, so take a look at that. There is this kind of cool clav arpeggiated part that happens in the choruses. Let me just play it for you without any automation in, and you can hear what it sounds like. Now this one's really hard to hear, and I'll solo it out, and this is what it sounds like soloed out. It's a pretty cool part. Ray did a fantastic job on this. The problem is that because there's so many other things going on, we didn't want it to be like the focal point, because it would take away from everything and it would kind of get you focused too much on it. However, in the way that it's mixed right now, you almost can't hear it. So what we want to do here is we want to do kind of this volume bump thing, and I want to have it come in so maybe the first, I don't know, measure, it's louder, and then it kind of just tails off into the regular volume that it is. Fastest, easiest way to do this is when you have your volume envelope down, you can hit V if it doesn't show up. Hold down the control key and just draw this in. And what I want to do is I want to draw it pretty high, go up to say 5 here, and then just tail it off and go back down. Hear what this sounds like in solo? And that probably wasn't enough. I need to get my measure marker here. So maybe even further than one measure in. I Control Z to kind of undo that. We'll do it again. I want this all the way up here. We'll just do all the way, and we'll kind of just taper it off. That should be good. See how this sounds like? Now let's see what it sounds like in the mix. I'll go about a measure back. It's close. I think I need to spread this out so it tails off a little bit more. So what I'm going to do here is draw this up, maybe not as high, and then slowly taper it down. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, obviously my drawing is not at a professional level here. And hear what this sounds like.
Because I can't keep my eyes off you. No matter what I do, I can't.
Did you notice it a couple measures in? Let me play it one more time for you before saying anything.
Because I can't keep my eyes off you. No matter what I do, I can't.
So what happened there, if you were listening closely, is it really stuck out in the first couple beats, and then it tapered off, but your ear was still focused on it. And even though there's other things going on, I mean, the main focal point in this part is obviously the vocals, but you're still focused on the clav, and it's sitting there in the background, and you're like, oh, that's a really cool part. I really like that. Whereas before, when it just came in, there was no automation on it. You almost didn't even tell it was there unless you really focused on it or knew it was there in the first place. It was just kind of this cool, maybe percussive thing in the background. I really like doing this for parts like this. And again, you don't have to do much. I think I got up to almost 6 dB at the beginning, but then I just tapered it off over the course of like a measure and a half. And then I went back to the original volume. I don't recommend doing this like as you're mixing. I want to, do automation last, get all of your set volumes. So make sure you get the volume of this piece set, and then go back and find out like where should this stick out? Like, should it stick out every time it comes in? Should it only stick out the first time it comes in so that people know it's there? This works really well on like guitar solos, guitar riffs and licks that we showed before, and keyboard solos it works on, the bass fills. I've done this on background vocals before, not necessarily like a background harmony, but more of like a call or an answer, or one of those like telephone echo. I'll put a card up here for that, or a delayed thing or something like that. You can automate the volume just to come up just a little bit and then come back down, and then the ear will focus in on that thing. Probably don't need it for drums. Drums are more percussive and they stay more at the same level, but you could use it on something like, let's say, a shaker or tambourine part that you have in the background that you kind of want to accentuate what's going on, but you want people to kind of focus in on that. All right, so that is it for this video. Do you do things like this? Let me know in the comments if you use this technique at all. I first learned this from Graham over the Recording Revolution, and I've been using this on almost every one of my mixes ever since. Before we go, I'm interested in doing kind of a Q&A video for a couple of reasons. I don't think many people know why I'm doing this or what the purpose is. I know people have had questions in the past about like what basses I have, what the purple one over my shoulder, the blue one back there, what I do as far as how long I've been playing, how long I've been using Reaper, how long I've been mixing, anything like that. And I'm always looking for ideas for new videos. So maybe through the Q&A I could find ideas for videos you guys may want to see that I'm not aware of. I'm not aware of those ideas are out there. So anyway, leave me a comment here if you're interested in participating in the Q&A. I will, put your comment on the screen and blank out your name and all that stuff, and then do a video in the future to answer that. Until next time, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and have an amazing week. All right, so here's the song Under the Moonlight by my band Underground. So here's the song Under the Moonlight by my band Underground Hive. I'll put a card up to it. All right, so this is the song Strange. I'll put a card up to that. I wanted to have the bass come up in this kind of rah sound. How did that go? What is that thing? I'll have to take a look at that in a future video.